Rocky and Bullwinkle. This is a series I somehow knew about for years, hearing it name dropped quite a few times in conversation, but somehow I never managed to check out any episodes of the series, though I did watch the 2000 movie when I was 14. This all changed, however, thanks to me finding a copy of the complete series when I was in New York. Now that I did see through the entirety of the series, man, I can definitely see why so many cartoons were inspired by this one, be it The Simpsons, Animaniacs among others, or even helping inspire the Cartoon Network cartoons Sheep in the Big City and Time Squad. This series is a variety show where they show different segments in each episode, which makes each episode feel unpredictable. And in a way, kind of feels similar to what Animaniacs would later do with its different segments in each episode. The segments are Rocky and Bullwinkle, which is part of a serialized arc where Rocky and Bullwinkle must save the world from the evil clutches of Boris Badenov and Natasha Fatale, which play at the start and end of every episode. Fractured Fairy Tales, which are hilarious retellings of classic fairy tales. Aesop and Son, which is the same as Fractured Fairy Tales but this time with Aesop's Fables. Bullwinkle's Corner, where Bullwinkle retells a poem or nursery rhyme in his own way. Mr. Know-It-All, where Bullwinkle tries and fails to teach the audience on how to do something. Rocky and Bullwinkle Fan Club, where Rocky, Bullwinkle and the other characters think of ways to entice more people to join the fan club. Peabody's Improbable History, where Mr. Peabody and his son Sherman travel back in time to help out different historical people with their problems. And Dudley Do-Right, a parody on melodramas of the silent movie era, featuring a dim-witted Canadian Mountie named Dudley Do-Right, as to try and stop Snidely Whiplash. What I enjoy about each of these segments is that the pacing is really fast, but despite this, it doesn't feel rushed. You can very easily tell what happened in each episode, and what really sells it is the humour that it has. Not only does it have lots of wordplay and puns, but there are also plenty of memorable visual jokes, a few jabs at political and economical issues at the time, a few references that admittedly might be kinda dated now, though a good amount are still funny today, and also slapsticky moments too, but in a different way from what Looney Tunes has. And of course, it wouldn't be a funny cartoon if it didn't have its meta humor, back when meta jokes were actually clever and not forced like they are today. Like, you see a great amount of fourth wall breaks, and there are moments where it feels like it's biting the hand that feeds them, like self-deprecation in a way. Despite how long it would take to watch the entire series, it doesn't feel too rushed, and it feels satisfying to follow. Hell, the Dudley Do-Right segments themselves have some pretty crazy stories that feel unhinged, but in the best way possible. The characters in all the segments are memorable, and I don't think there was a single one that I disliked. Rocket J. Squirrel and Bullwinkle J. Moots have such a great chemistry with each other, and it feels really sweet to see them as friends. It's also funny to see Bullwinkle's antics, given that he's the dumb one compared to Rocky's smart side. Boris Badenov and Natasha Fatale are also fun villains, and the way their own plans fail really cracked me up. And that's not even to mention the vocal performances all the characters have. Rocky and Natasha are both voiced by the late June Foray, and she did an excellent job at making the two voices stand apart from each other. Bill Scott's voice as Bullwinkle, as well as various other characters such as Mr. Peabody and Dudley Do-Right, is iconic for sure, as is Paul Frees as Boris. I don't think I have any kind of vocal performance I disliked. The narrator of Rocky and Bullwinkle, William Conrad, is honestly one of my favourite narrators in fiction, especially given his booming tone and energetic delivery. Not to mention how fun it is to see him occasionally interact with the other characters on screen. One voice actor I was surprised to see show up in this series is actually Daws Butler of Hanna-Barbera fame, who shows up in every Fractured Fairy Tales and Aesop and Son segment, and also voices Junior in the latter. It did feel jarring to hear him in a non-Hanna-Barbera or even non-Warner Bros. Thing, but it was still cool to hear. I will admit that one thing I never thought the show would be was surprisingly educational. Of course, I don't really mean that in the case of this being edutainment. I mean this in the sense that I feel like I learned a good amount of stuff that I never knew about before. Not only did I feel this way with the Rocky and Bullwinkle segments in regards to stuff like economics, Congress, and political discussion, but I felt this was something I definitely noticed when watching Peabody's Improbable History, especially in regards to telling me about various historical people. It kind of reminded me a bit of watching Horrible Histories episodes. The good episodes from seasons 1 to 5, that is. Granted, it isn't as gruesome, but it's still fun to watch. I also felt this way with the Fractured Fairy Tales and Aesop and Song segments, since it told me about a few fairy tales that I never knew about, even if they are told more comedically. But the biggest reason as to why I love this series so much is the charm that it has. This series does not have a big budget, and you can clearly notice that. Most segments don't feature any musical score to them, and the animation can look really rough, and there are animation goofs that are definitely noticeable. Despite all this though, the imperfections ironically make it perfect and iconic in my eyes, especially when you consider these imperfections don't really ruin the enjoyment of the full series, considering the stories of each segment and each Rocky and Bullwinkle arc are really strong, the humor still really lands, the characters are all memorable, and honestly, this series is really ahead of its time. This series did run from 1959 to 1964 and ran 463 episodes. That's pretty impressive today, but I imagine back then, for an animated series, this was definitely nothing to sniff at. It's also interesting to see them do serialized stories and arcs for what was effectively a children's cartoon, way before we would see that done all the time in cartoons today. It's possible that without this, we probably wouldn't even have kids' cartoons with serialized stories. So in a way, this makes it already impressive feat even more incredible. Honestly, this is a series that I think you should try and seek out in some way. I think it's one you'll definitely have a lot of fun with. All the other segments are episodic, and the Rocky and Bullwinkle segments are serialized, so you can watch the entire thing in its entirety, or you can even watch the Rocky and Bullwinkle arcs on their own, and they would still work considering how fun and quick-shot the episodes are. But yeah, despite its imperfections, it's still an excellent cartoon that may change your way of humor, but in a good way of course, and you will definitely see why so many cartoons since were inspired by this. No matter how you watch it, you will no doubt have an amazing time, and no doubt it's something you really like.